There aren't many rivals to whom Tyson has shown fear before stepping into the ring. However, Eric Butterbean's track record suggested that it would only take him a couple of seconds to finish the Great Iron Mike. We invite you to take a journey through history, counting down some of Butterbean's most impressive knockouts. You will see that no matter the opponent, his power was unmatched. The Great Iron Mike hasn't been the only one capable of ending an opponent in seconds. Eric Butterbean showed Thompson that no matter how long he had trained, the fight was his from the beginning. James' height and athletic physique seemed to give him a slight advantage over Butterbean. Anyone would think he had great agility and strength to dodge his punches and knock him out, but it wasn't the case. As soon as the bell rang to announce the first round, Thompson began to advance toward Butterbean. Eric, on the other hand, seemed focused on every move and attempted a couple of punches just to test James' guard. After a few seconds, Butterbean turned into a beast and kept advancing toward Thompson. The sudden retreat, without any plan, combined with Eric's punches, sent him to the floor, reaching the ropes. But Butterbean wasn't satisfied. He went after him and pretended to continue hitting him until the referee put an end to the fight. It was more than evident that Eric had won the match. On April 8, 2007, Butterbean entered the cage once again to face Zulu Zinho. Physically, they had the same body type. However, Zulu Zinho had the advantage in height. It seemed like Butterbean was in trouble, but his gaze remained as cold as in any of his previous fights. Better not even try. Butterbean could defeat him. The fight between Butterbean and Joe Wiggins was announced as a 4-round attraction in the heavyweight division, and that night, the audience was eager to enjoy it. Jay Nady was the referee for the event, and anyone could tell he knew what was coming just by exchanging glances with Eric. Joe Wiggins had an athletic body, but his muscles weren't very big. However, he seemed to have a slight height advantage in the ring. At the start of the fight, Joe did a great job with his footwork. He moved from side to side and didn't give Butterbean a chance to land one of his powerful punches, but Eric knew he had to press on.
Cold hero status. If he fought his entire career in exhibitions, it wouldn't make a difference as far as people looking to
ABC affiliates here, calling him the 4-round champion of the world. Since he lost one,
Anyone would say Joe was almost showing off towards the end of the first round. The reality was that he didn't know what awaited him. If there's one thing you shouldn't do, it's angering Butterbean. In the second round, Joe finally experienced the power of Eric's punch combination after finding himself against the ropes and unable to escape.
Joe Wiggins in the white trunks weighs in about 199.
From that moment on, he didn't look as confident. Even his good foot coordination started to falter. While trying to dodge a punch, he stumbled and ended up on his knees.
for a while to then slow down Wiggins and then get the fight where he wants.
The referee allowed him to get up, but he didn't realize that slight mistake had already cost him the fight. Butterbean noticed his opponent's nerves, and he went after him like a beast. Joe was cornered, and Butterbean kept landing a series of good punches on him. At this point, Wiggins was only trying to cover his head. He couldn't counterattack, and he had nowhere to run. Butterbean was committing a massacre. For a moment, Wiggins pushed him and tried to get out of the corner, but Eric's punches sent him back almost instantly. It was then that the audience realized there was no escape for Joe. He just had to hold on for another 30 seconds until the end of the round. He bought some time by hugging Butterbean, and when the referee separated them, Eric continued with a good series of punches. However, Joe was saved by the bell. The third round began, and Joe tried to adopt a more aggressive attitude. In fact, he landed a series of punches on Butterbean's face that left the audience astonished. But Eric didn't step back a single inch.
And that doesn't even include the heavy punches Butterbean landed in the second, even though he got caught here.
Nice right hand. Butterbean mugs it, Wiggins, but in the...
Joe continued to use his agility to escape Butterbean's punches, but this only led him back to that terrible corner where he almost lost in the previous round. It was a massacre again, and despite Wiggins trying to leave the corner, Butterbean used his large body to create a barrier. Again, he launched himself at Butterbean to make the referee separate them. However, it didn't help him at all. He wasn't attacking anymore, he was just covering his head while Eric demonstrated how to dominate an opponent. The audience had to wait until the fourth round to see Joe finally knocked out. Butterbean landed the hook that had been anticipated for the past 2 rounds, and Joe seemed to be carried away by the wind. Although the ropes caught him, he couldn't stay on his feet. Thus, the referee put an end to the fight, and Eric confirmed that he was still a beast. And if you've enjoyed this journey into the past so far, we invite you to go a little further back to the night when Butterbean faced Brian Hitman Henry, a 23-year-old student. From the beginning of the fight, Henry landed good punches on Butterbean. Unfortunately, none of them were strong enough to gain ground in the ring. In many cases, a younger opponent can have a significant impact on the outcome of a fight. However, Butterbean was determined to prove that, at his age, he still had a lot to offer. For every punch Henry threw, Butterbean returned 3. It's fair to say that Brian only survived the first round because the bell rang in his favor. At the start of the second round, Henry tried his luck with a good combination of punches. But Butterbean's guard was better. It was only a matter of time before Eric showed him how to deliver a knockout, although he wouldn't be conscious to see it. Brian fell to the canvas like a doll that had lost its animation. It seemed like Andy had entered the room, and by the count of 10, the victory belonged to Butterbean once again. All you could hear was what a punch, and the audience going wild.
Guys are hitting hard. Oh my goodness, cheer 'em on! Fight on, fight on, fight on! Oh!
And we couldn't close the countdown without mentioning the 4-round event between Butterbean and Talon, which actually only went to 3 rounds. From the first bell, it was a very spirited fight. But some say it was because Eric liked to play with his prey before knocking them out.
Butterbean, a little head movement, getting into it a little bit. Talon answering back.
He knew what the audience wanted to see, which is why he put on a show until the end of the 3rd round. Then, with Kevin against the ropes, he executed a series of punches that culminated in a powerful hook that made Talon fall to his knees on the canvas. With less than 15 seconds left to survive for the 4th round, Kevin couldn't continue the fight. And Butterbean, like a true champion, went to embrace him after being the reason why his face was unrecognizable. Knowing his track record, you now understand why that night Tyson, perhaps for the first time, felt fear that such a formidable opponent could end him in a matter of seconds. Which other fight do you think should have made it into our list of impressive knockouts by Eric Butterbean Esch? Do you have a favorite? We're reading your comments.